So yeah, I'm back. We'll hopefully be getting back to doing the regular vlogs now that my work schedule isn't so awful. I mean, my work schedule still is awful. I'm mass editing videos right now, so it's kind of hectic. But hopefully everything everywhere should be back to normal very soon. But I really wanted to at least weigh in on Jyuohger versus Gokaiger because that's really what it was. It was the versus Super Sentai special of the year, even though it was just commemorating 2,000 episodes of this series existing. And it was okay. The second half really was kind of weak, but at least elaborated a bit more on what Marvelous's intentions were, even though with respect to the series, they really don't make any damn sense. And I'm kind of serious about that. And that's what makes it so disappointing. Because my critique of this two-parter was that the Gokaiger for it seemed to slide back in characterization. It's like, because they weren't allowed the extra time for the special, they pretty much just cut it back to the bone and just to the back generic space pirate descriptor for them, when it's kind of forgetting the journey and development they had over their series to just, being antagonistic douches to make the current team learn a lesson. And we got that. We got that in versus Go Busters. We got that in the Tyson films, and it's not been a good characterization for them because it ignores their series aside from, from a character. It ignores it from a character perspective, not so much a story event perspective, though it kind of does there too. And the sad thing is they spend so much time elaborating on the Gokaiger for the Jyuohger in the second half that they really don't have much of a chance for character interplay or to really define why Marvelous did all of this. Or how he even found out about this bloody thing. Okay, last week was the first part of it, where Marvelous comes in, wrecks Bangray's stuff when he loses his chance at getting Curry, because it's Marvelous. That was how he entered the series, and that's how he exited with his series. And the reason he was waiting there was he was waiting for Navi to find the Mark of the Great King, which was previously sealed in the Dimension Cube thing that connects to Zooland. I forget the specific name of it. Please don't tell me. I don't care in the comments. It's just something I don't remember off the top of my head because it's been relevant in the series only a handful of times. Apparently, it was what powered the Link Cube. Was that actually the name of it, the Link Cube? Yeah. And it was the first cube thing for the Jumon, simply because it was created by the Earth during a time of great calamity, and it was picked up by the first Jyuohger, Hiatus, who was whale-themed and transformed into Zyo the Whale. And this is actually tied to what Bangray's been after, as he has been on Earth trying to hunt the Jyuo whale, which was the related cube animal for this power set, as, it really does work wonderfully with his thematic of being a cybernetic Cthulhu with pirate stylization and the whole anchor-shaped sword, for him to be a whaler. It totally fits for him and is a good piece of fridge logic. I mean, we kind of saw that he was going to be defeated by them getting the cube whaled, because that's usually how mid-series antagonists go. But it definitely fits better with his thematic. Of course, his ability to resurrect things by I shouldn't say resurrect, copy existing entities through people's memories so they can be alive or dead, it doesn't matter. Works good for getting back old villains for the team-up fight. Specifically here he got I'm forgetting the Shinkenger's big bad's name. They used his suit. They used Brajira's suit from Gokaiger, They used enter and escape from Go Busters. They used the true form of D-Boss from Jyuohger, and they used King Zet, his final form, Zet form, from Tokuger. Now, there's a problem, of course, with this, because he never met D-Boss and he never met Zet. He technically met Shinkendra's bad guy during the events of Gokaiger, Goseiger, Super Sentai 199 Great Battle, and he met Enter and Escape from versus Go Busters, so those two are fine. But Marvelous having memory of D-Boss and Zet, those are the problematic two for their costume reuse. And admittedly, Zet is still alive, just back in the depths of the Shadow Line, darkness, wherever they descended to, since they stopped deciding to, since the invasion of Earth was thwarted at the end of Tokuger. So the copying thing more makes sense there. It's just that, did Marvelous succeed Aka Red as the spirit of Super Sentai? And they kind of address this in part, that the group have adventures that we just aren't allowed to see, like the albino version of Actos Gil was apparently something they fought on the Zangiak homeworld, despite, us not being privy to that, so, okay, it's off-screen stuff, but it's still concerning that they came across, resurrected, brought back Uberbads, and no one seems to have addressed that. And also, they say the reason that they recollected all the keys from all the past Sentai members, and they do say that they recollected the keys instead of using the loophole they did in versus Go Busters of them being, borrowing the powers from themselves when they still had them all collected. They didn't do that. They just, Guy went around and collected all of them team by team, which I would think is straight up ridiculous in context, because they were collecting them to fight this great evil that is threatening the world, and nothing happens. They return the keys at the end of the episode and go off, flying off on the Gokai Galleon. So, what was the big calamity that they stopped? Because they really didn't stop anything. They didn't kill Bangray. That didn't happen. The albino Actos Gil, please don't tell me his name, I do not care, he's albino Actos Gil to me, was killed from a unison of all their powers at the same time in Wild Tosai King, so that could have been it, but that thing was only summoned from it was technically summoned this time from Guy's memory during the final fight, but that couldn't have been the Great Calamity. Is this a tease to the versus Super Sentai special that's coming? Are they going to be part of that? I don't think that's it, because they pretty much already walked off after their cameos, so it's like, what are they taking all the powers for to do? And if you return them at the end of the episode, then what was the point of it? Was it just to challenge and make the current Sentai team aware of the others? Because Guy does that in retrospect in this second half about that whole element of the Jyuohger being the 40th team, which I admit was nice, but it's it seems kind of like a foolish reason to pull all of that out, to get the Gokaiger back to full power if they were just testing them in the first place. I mean, if it was just the Gokaiger using the powers of the 4 teams after them, minus, before the Jyuohger in that window, that would make sense, but they use a whole host of other Sentai team powers here that, while it's good fan service, it doesn't make narrative sense for them to be included like this, especially since it didn't seem to build up to anything. Otherwise, structurally, it was pretty sound, with Marvelous getting that cube and then trying to take it as his, you know, he's a pirate. He hunts for treasure if he's not stealing it from people, and the yeah, I do actually have a problem with how he found out about this thing as well, as that's not given to us either. And it's just that there are holes here that could have made this so much better if they had been given lip service. And one of the bigger ones was Marvelous taking it for himself, even though it's important to the Jyuohger, and I get the idea he was trying to make them earn this artifact, but after learning of what it really is, so as to teach them a bit about their own type of pirate elements, in that they're not awful people, but they take what they want because they can. And again, that's not exactly how they worked, and it was pretty dickish, because that might have been part of it, because they did earn what they were given. They earned the respect. They earned the camaraderie. They earned pretty much all of the greater powers in one form or another in their series. So the Jyuohger earning their power up from them, I would say, make thematic sense, is that it's not given a lot of lip service to. Pretty much just at the end of the episode, after Yamato has gotten the mark of the Great King, that is a mouthful, that he muses on that's what Marvelous might have wanted to do, and of course Marvelous just shrugs it off and says, not really, but in a way that says, you're straight on the money, which they did a lot as their series went on, and that's the subtext I'm reading from it. The fights with the Jyuohger and the Gokaiger, give and take. It seemed kind of like a pointless fight, and the episode pretty much admitted that as it is. So I liked the interplay they had between everybody, but we didn't get much out of suit action for everybody but Marvelous. And Marvelous, for the most part, the more I think on everything that happened in those episodes, it definitely feels more like he was testing them and really wasn't, sincere about a lot of his actions. Especially how he kicked the ass of Yamato repeatedly in here, and just kept forcing him to use all his strength, and Yamato's like, I really couldn't hold back against this guy, I'm really going to hurt him. Which is another element I like of this, as he wasn't just up to Marvelous's level, but he still has that room to grow yet, and it's shown with how he's still reaching into that potential when he becomes Zuo's a whale. And, okay, I've had a bit of an issue with how basic the Jyuohger design is, with just pretty much just the tattoo on the front of the outfits for their entire design, but Zuo the Whale, I think, really works with the minimalist contrasts between the suit, the black of the etched-in design, and the color contrasts on the arms. It really looks like the best of the suits, and really seems obviously regal in its design, and it is ridiculously overpowered. Like, the Mark of the Great King converts into a cannon, obviously, like a Mega Buster, and pumped the shotgun grip 3 times, and it fires an energy blast so hard it cracks the moon. I mean, that was ridiculous and awesome, and even Marvelous is flabbergasted in the episode during the final fight when he transforms into that form for the first time. I'm saying right now, if Saban adapts Jyuohger, they are definitely not being able to use these 2 episodes. It is completely unlikely they will take this route for the reveal of that, but I'm betting they're going to try and use that shot of, not that specific shot, but they're going to use the footage of Yamato firing the gun and cracking the fucking moon with it. It's just, They have to, if they do this series. I really hope they do this series. It'll be long concluded by the time they get done with Ninja Steel, and will be another 2 Sentai ahead of them as it is, so what the hell. So yeah, I wouldn't say this was a great team up. I love the fan service, but story-wise, okay, the writer of this was Junko Kimura. She was on Gokaiger, but she didn't really she didn't write any of the outstanding episodes nor the character episodes. And with the problem with post Gokaiger Sentai is it becomes more than half fight scene, and this was definitely one of the bigger sins of more than half fight scene. First half it worked because there was a lot of lore expansion for the Jyuohger and the purpose of this link cube that really held it up, but out of 20 minutes in this episode, 15 were part of the fight. And hey, some of it was actual character stuff with people in suit, but that 5, even another 3 dedicated to character interaction, elaboration, I think would have been really beneficial for this, as the fights felt rushed too, mainly because they kept cutting back to them instead of pacing out a bit more. It might have made the pace of them a bit rushed, but it's like 5 minutes before the episode ends, we're already to the mecha fight, and the mecha fight is just combination, a few blows, the Gokaiger having a bit of fun trying to pilot Wild Tosai King, and them just plugging the Ranger keys into Wild Tosai King so it can use past Super Sentai attacks. And hey, I liked that. We finally got to see the Denji Man's greater power in action through the through Wild Tosai King, and it was the electronic moon cut, which was awesome. And the managers of the Tokopedia social media page were excited to actually see evidence of a Megazord greater power from them, and also to prove that the Ranger keys giving those greater power attacks were not just limited to Gokaiger, or should say it's another lore expansion on when in versus Go Busters, all of the United Megazords, Go Ryujin, Gokaiger, Go Buster Ace, Go Buster Beat, and Buster Lio. I forget the combination of the main Buster vehicles with the Tatsugami Lio. It's not coming to me. Yeah, they all transformed into Megazords using Megazord Ranger keys, which were based on the I'm forgetting the name of them. They're the companion robots from that series. But yeah, it elaborates on that. Gokaiger using those powers was not a exclusive thing to the Gokaiger, but plugging those keys into any Megazord would allow them to manifest the powers. That is definitely showing, once again, the camaraderie between the various Sentai sides and how they can come together to support each other and help them advance and get past their own enemies as well, even though they were fighting a albino Acto skill. So yeah, definitely like the episodes, but not up to the par of Jyuohger so far, and not even Gokaiger's pedigree, simply because I don't think Junko Kimura ever really got the characters very well. She didn't, like I was saying before, she didn't write any of the really outstanding Gokaiger episodes that made people really love that show. She just wrote more of the mediocre ones. She didn't write the worst ones either, just ones that only expanded on character in hindsight, I should say. So probably not the best one to handle that, but I bet Naruhisa Arakawa is busy with whatever else is going on at Toei right now. Ghost, you fucked it up. There is just, every part of this episode, you fucked it up. It's surprising because last week's was not bad, because they slowed things down, actually addressed a bunch of plot points, actually made sense of a bunch of plot points we've been stalled on for a while now that no one's really been addressing. But Oh, and of course, you forgot the moral event horizon and the consequences of that, and completely out of character actions, and it just. Ah! I guess I should address the biggest failure of the episode, and it's not what you think. It is the Makoto versus Makoto-ness, with Makoto's clone, created by the Gokaiger, becoming more Makoto, and, planning to take over Makoto's life to do evil things. But as Makoto's clone has become more Makoto, he's been gaining all of the values of Makoto, so in his Makoto-ness, he's no longer a slave to the Gokaiger. This was culminating last week with him completely synchronizing with Makoto and not starting to break from that. But here, they finally make the connection to the Gom world that happened last week, and he's amongst them as the infiltrator, because he can actually properly infiltrate as Makoto now, because he is Makoto, and during this, Alan is confronting his brother and is going to suicide attack him, because that is one of the abilities Necrom has to, release all its power in one blast, and he can't do it, even though the reason he's even confronting Adele like this is because he thinks he's saving Takeru from doing something stupid about still trying to save Adele when he is beyond salvation. The episode even admits this and makes them go through with it, so them not learning this lesson is completely defeating your own Aesop, essentially. Because Adele has gone farther than so many other big bads in his world conquest devastation schemes, because he is destroying free will. He's not just killing people, he is killing the essence of people by making it fuse with him. Like, you can kill someone, but they'll still stay them, versus you steal everything that was them and just let their body wash away. That is horrific. That is beyond moral event horizon evil, and how he wants to overwrite the world until the world is him. And they say family, connection, understanding. Okay, yeah, you can do that, but to make him realize how awful he is, but not in the way presented. It's like, there is no epiphany moment of him, realizing everything he's done. He's just suddenly crying. There's, no justification for the point, and especially since a lot of it is delivered through Takeru's horrifically bad speeches. I don't know why, but he is one of those characters that, because of the arc he's been on, you don't really get the justification for a lot of his assertions that he makes, because there's no elaboration on the point. It's part of this episode's issue with pacing, and its failure to actually pace out anything. But back to the Makoto thing. In the episode proper, after Alan fails to suicide bomb Adele, he attacks Alan and everyone that's gathered to keep Alan separate from Adele in his exhaustion / beaten state, and Makoto dives in front of the blast and takes it, and there's all that drama of him being critically wounded, mortally wounded, dying, and in comes clone Makoto. And Makoto is like, you are me, you will protect them and do all this stuff, and clone Makoto gives his own life to real Makoto to save him. Here's the flaw. Here is the immediate flaw that is so obvious. Make clone Makoto the one that saved everyone else from Adele. Clone Makoto bridged the connection, learned what made Makoto tick, and make like Makoto would have in doing the same thing he would have, and saved his friends and family. In that moment, he would have become as real a boy as the actual Makoto, and given the Gokaiger their understanding, they needed to evolve into their super sentient state. That has been their backup plan. That has been their key to freedom from Adele. So you don't even need to do this massive redemption thing that leads to him dying anyways, because they reveal that the Gokaiger have just been using him from the start. You make him, you make the Gokaiger free of him because they've evolved, and then Adele, in his newfound regrets of, fucking everyone over, actually does something to make up for it in the finale. Conclude the story arc with him actually doing something to redeem himself, instead of just killing him off after saying, no, all your sins are forgiven, but without actually having him do anything about those sins. Like, this is the problem that keeps happening in Japanese fiction as of the last 2 years, in that you automatically give forgiveness for something without actually earning it in any way. There needs to be a redemption arc. There needs to be some sign they are not a despicable person despite the despicable things they do. We cannot just automatically give forgiveness just because someone is suddenly sorry. You actually have to show you were sorry through your actions. This is the implosion point for the series, people. You had something. You had a bit of a plot thread with Adele revealed to be Takeru's father's killer, and that was done beginning of last episode. Kind of no build up to it, no context to how it actually happened. I mean, yeah, we're pretty much just ignoring everything from Movie War Genesis, and you needed to name the killer at some point, or actually, no, you didn't at all, because it could have just been some random Ganma, and just made it a general threat. You didn't need to do the cliche, they told me enough, no, I killed your father, thing. That it's needlessly convoluted, especially since this is once more contradicting the whole the whole Demia project timeline, in that before Alan connected the gates, the Gamma world was having problems with establishing a connection to the human world, which would make sense contextually, since they've apparently been at this human world invasion plan for over 150 years. Well, at the very least 50 years, because Alan meeting the cook woman at least 50 years before the series proper started. So, no wait, yeah, they've been in stasis 150 years. Apologies on that one. But yeah, during that timeline for everything we see, they should have definitely been able to do that, but it's only been since Alan started connecting all of the gates to the Gamma world that there's been progress on that. So, how did he get through to the human world? There was only an obvious connection 10 years ago due to Takeru's father's experiments on the monolith, and that only let Sage through. And, unless they let him in through that, through, what was the wormy guy from the early series that was killed off after not doing anything? I forget his name completely, because he was that unimportant to the series. I don't know, maybe they let him in, but there's no elaboration on this point, which is, again, the problem. There's no lore building, there's no character building. I mean, they try, but it's not anything that It's not anything that sticks, and they usually repeat it later anyways, instead of actually progressing things. And the failure to actually capitalize in the clone Makoto plot is definitely another example of this, because he restores Makoto to life by vanishing into sparkles. I mean, how are you recovering his health in any way, versus it would make more sense contextually, story-wise, lore-wise, and, actually thematically relates to that bridging connections thing they've been kind of stressing since Mugen, to, for the connection clone Makoto force with Makoto influence his actions to actively betray the side he was created for. You see where I'm going with that? But no, the Gunmeiser choose this point where Adele's will wavers in his conviction to actually take over control of him, so he's in his fused Gunmeiser form with them in control, and Takeru has to straight up kill him. I mean, it's like in the statement he opens the fight with, "I will never forgive you for what you've done," completely goes against everything in the past scene where Takeru is talking him down from being an evil person. And I said that was an awful scene, but it's tonal and mood whiplash, because he is actually referring to Adele with this statement and not the Gunmeiser that have once again taken control of Adele. So it's not like he's actually talking to Adele, he's talking to the Gunmeiser in this. And now that's a question of how the Gunmeiser are even around again, since they revived from nothing due to his power, and then they're all Mook level enemies now, and then before they engage in the fight, Takeru manifests all of the companion icons, and they all kick the asses of the Gunmeiser now, when, like 8 episodes ago, they were completely getting their asses kicked when they were using Grateful. Admittedly, they did a level up thing when they fought, Seiji Takaiwa. Seiji Takaiwa is Mr. Kamen Rider. Mr. Kamen Rider plays a character that is not a Kamen Rider in the show, on top of playing him in the suit, which was nice. I'm completely forgetting the character's name. I am terrible with names. But, it's like, you keep downgrading the Gunmeiser despite saying they're the uber bad, and Adele, with all of them united, still gets curb stomped by Mugen pretty pathetically easily. So, now that the Gunmeiser are free of him and have taken the Great Eye's power for their own, even though they've been empowered by someone providing them power from the Great Eye in this last fight, they still got their ass handed to them by Takeru in Mugen. So how are you going to narratively write this super uber big bad that is the true fused Gunmeiser as being stronger than Mugen, when Mugen kicked their asses when they were already empowered by this thing? You see the problem I have with this? It's not really upping the ante if you never saw the protagonist struggle after this last power-up at all. Of course, the Great Eiser suit is a recycle of the suit from the movie, just recolored golden instead of gold and black. They've been doing a lot of recycle this arc. I'm not surprised. Where was I going with this? This arc has also included appearances by this character whose name I forget, because of course I forget the names, from the Legend Ghost Rider specials, and I have not caught all of those. I never caught what their deal was, but to my understanding, they were connected to the Great Eye as well, and some type of protective deity to it, or security system to it, but that's what the Gunmeiser were, weren't they? Just like, it feels like another plot hole to have this character back included. And don't get me wrong, I love the continuity here with regards to Ghost movies and specials. It's just that it's been terrible with cross-series continuity. So you do good with one thing, but you don't respect what others did to set up your stuff, and it's frustrating to me, as it's my thing with the cross-series continuity is it's always a showing of respect, that you respected the writers on this other show to actually pay attention to what they did with their own works, and the few times you actually need to care about what they did in their show, like, not actively contradict stuff. And Ghost internally has been good about not contradicting things with all its specials, and like I just said, Ghost's movie fits in pretty fairly into the ongoing continuity. They even gave that time skip for Surprise Future and the ending of Drive, even though it doesn't really work timeline-wise since we don't get how Newton Damashi fits into that. But see, that's my problem. They're good at respecting continuity in their own show, but they're not good on building the story. They rushed past so many things that I don't think they even really cared about justifying their events in story, and that's what makes this series... We've got 2 weeks to Exile. Just get it over with. Just kill him or resurrect him. He's got 1 day left. Just close it out. Okay? This is probably not going to be a high watermark series. It's not the worst Rider series, in my opinion. I've heard rumor of that being worse because it's not offensive. It's just that it keeps failing its own plot points. It keeps failing the drama it can build for itself. It keeps screwing up its own potential, and it's been like this since Grateful. It really, really has. And like you can pinpoint the turning quality Ghost had to that specific point. If it had problems earlier on, I've addressed the pacing thing all series, but it could have mediated them. It didn't. It did nothing for really much progressing anything more than small, minutial bits, like the Alan arc. As I've addressed before, I never really got Alan shift to a good guy. I never really saw it until, yep, now he's good, Alan. Where was the shift in character from him being an awful person? It's right there, didn't you see it? No. No, I didn't. Pretty much everything you showcased to have him turn into a good guy was stuff that would not provide him as a shift into a good guy. At best, you got the anti-hero thing for revenge against his brother, and you just missed that opportunity entirely. Look, a demonic duck of some sort! Ghost is a failure. Yes. Like I said, I'll be trying to get back to these more regularly. I might have some possible... It might end on a higher note, but I'm not expecting much at this point. I'm looking forward to Zuo the Whale, because that should be an interesting cube animal. Other show updates. I finished the Toei Spider-Man series. I didn't think it as insane as its reputation has led people to believe. It is still insane, just not... It's more like, how should I describe this? I'm actually blanking on a way to describe it because I'm not big on the whole silly nonsense stuff, but it's more like, it's more in character silly for the period, and like, how should I Oh, that's a good one. It's like Ninja Storm.